1932. For almost 2 centuries, our little railroad has been servicing the community of Strasburg. This is definitely not an enterprise that sprung up yesterday. Many generations of passengers have traveled on the road to paradise before you folks boarded our coaches today. Crossing is next. Fairview. Strasburg is probably one of the oldest public facilities in all of Pennsylvania. The railroad is the oldest railroad in operation in the entire continent of North America. The railroad is owned by a group of local stockholders. It was back in 1958 when 24 dedicated railroad bus workers wanted to save it from bankruptcy and abandonment. The group organized in unusual corporate fashion with 1 president and 23 vice presidents. They donated their time, their money, and much hard work, strictly as labor of love for the fun of railroading. Coming up in the view on the left-hand side of our train, you'll see some large white buildings. These buildings belong to the Strasburg Turkey Farm. It is billed as the oldest turkey farm in all of the United States. Verified by Turkey World magazine, of course.
Alright, guys, have a lemonade.
It's a very busy place. November and December is an especially good time not to be a turkey on this farm. In case you were wondering about the speed of our train today, it's a very simple matter. The oldest timetable we ever found for our little line is in the Strasburg Bee newspaper, dated August 1852. We still follow that same basic schedule to this day, so if you ever wondered how fast Great-Grandpa traveled, well, this is it. Definitely somewhere under 60 miles an hour. Strasburg Crossing is next. Strasburg. happy to have you join us today to enjoy steam riding here on the road to paradise. Take a moment to examine the car you're riding in today. The cars you're riding cost about $250,000 each to restore to their present condition. The antique look of these cars is not just for looks, folks. The cars range anywhere from 1896 to 1912. The locomotives we use cost about $500,000 each to restore. We spend about $25,000 a year to keep them in safe and reliable order. They were all produced in years 1906 to 1924. We try to keep our equipment accurate to the time period of 1910 to 1930, and we are very proud of the work we do. And it is all accomplished with the funds that from the ticket that you purchased back at East Strasburg Station. As you look out your window, you will see our other passion, Lancaster County's farmlands. Today we'll pass 20 different working farms, and some of the most beautiful and productive land in all of Pennsylvania. In an effort to protect the farmland that you see, the Strasburg Railroad is teamed up with the Lancaster Farmland Trust. When one of the farms you see becomes available for preservation, the Strasburg Railroad will donate a portion of proceeds from your ticket towards the preservation of that farm. In just a moment, you'll see another way how farmers are working to preserve their farms. This area of Lancaster was settled in the early 1700s. Route 741 off to the right-hand side was originally a Conestoga wagon trail, opened about 1710. The old stone house coming up on the right-hand side was originally built in 1774 and was the original home of Cornelius Ferry, a wagon maker. Settlers heading west would buy wagons, guns, and provisions, all produced in the immediate area. While they aren't open today, running on both sides of our train is Cherry Crest Adventure Farms. That old stone house is now part of this farm, which is now more than 15 acres inside with over 70 different activities for the family to do. One of the activities is their amazing corn maze. They change that layout of that maze every year, and every year I still manage to get lost in that maze myself. Coming up on the left-hand side of our train will be a small little building. This building reads Cherry Hill, population 17, more or less. Well, that's a whole lot more when we arrive, and a whole lot less when we leave. Cherry Hill Crossing is next. Cherry Hill. Our train will pass Strasburg. We will not be stopping for passengers in this direction. However, when two trains are running, we stop here to meet the other train. The Strasburg Railroad is probably one of the only places left in the entire world where you can still see two steam trains pass each other on a regular scheduled basis. Coming up on the right-hand side of our train is a typical Lancaster County's Amish farm. Neat, clean, but very plain. There are no carpets, no curtains, no electric lights, no radio, no television, no telephone, and no automobile. The farmer drives a buggy, and there are plenty of big workhorses, mules, and willing hands to help with the hard work of farming. In addition to dairy cattle, the produce consists of corn, wheat, rye, hay, soybeans, alfalfa, and the famous Lancaster County broadleaf tobacco. They are peaceful and very productive people, and we are very proud to have them as our neighbors. Coming up to the valley off to the right-hand side of our train, we weren't the only railroad here in this valley. In the valley used to run the Lancaster, Oxford, and Southern. but everyone used to call her a little old and slow. And you can guess with a name like that, she didn't last for too long. On the last day of operation, the railroad had old number 6 pull the last train of service. As the engineer and firemen were making their way through their runs, they were approaching their last station. When the engineer and firemen both noticed that the scrappers decided to start early in tearing up the rails. With nowhere left to go, the engineer and firemen decided to up and abandon the engine right where it stood. As time went on, the engine slowly rusted away until it was nothing more than a few pieces of scrap metal and wood. Then later that metal turned into a ghost. It's said that ghost still runs her old line to this day, looking for her last station. Sometimes when we blow our whistle for carpenters, the ghost of old number 6 will answer us back, saying she is still there and looking for her station. So if you listen up closely, you may hear the ghost of old number 6. Did someone in car 75 just say echo? Why, folks, that is no echo. We pay that ghost $27.50 a day just to do that for us. Now that makes her the highest paid employee on our railroad. Now nobody's ever seen this ghost, but somebody keeps cashing those paychecks. Speaking of ghosts, anyone for the graveyard? Carpenter's Crossing is next. Carpenter's. Just past the crossing up on the hill is the graveyard, the oldest in Lancaster County. In it is buried Marie Curie, a French Huguenot who fled her home country of France in the early 1700s. She and her followers eventually made their way to Pennsylvania, where they were finally given a grant by William Penn himself, right here in 1712. It was they who named their colony Paradise. Remember, folks, almost 300 years ago, this was the American frontier. Now, folks, at the head of our train, we'll notice we're going up on a hill. And shortly we'll be crossing the railroad's only bridge. This bridge was newly rebuilt in November of 2011. And the official reason for building a new bridge was that the bridge needed to be stronger in order to handle the railroad's growing stream of incoming freight traffic that's offloaded at the East Strasburg yard. But the real reason why the bridge was replaced was due to the Amish farmers' complaints about his wheels scraping their sides and hitting their heads. The bridge is now more than 6 wheels wide and high enough to where the wheels no longer have to wear safety helmets. When we built this new bridge, we did a science experiment, and we found that when you pick up your feet, it takes some much needed weight off these cars. It will help allow us for this bridge to last much longer. So when you go over that bridge, make sure you pick up your feet. Did you pick up your feet? Well, if you didn't, well, we better hope that bridge is still there when we get back. Speaking of this railroad's in the freight business, the railroad is bringing growing quantities of lumber, biodiesel fuel, and we export a limited amount of grain and fertilizer. For the past 4 miles, we've been traveling through what is commonly known as Dutch country, the fertile farmland of the Plain people. The Mennonites, the Dunkirks, and the Amish within Lancaster County are more than 74,000 of these people. They live quiet, peaceful lives of hard work and much deep religious devotion. Exactly as their forefathers did when they arrived from Germany and Switzerland over 275 years ago. Nothing has really changed. Their style of dress, their mode of travel, their entire way of life is still the exact same as it was almost 3 centuries ago. is next, where the main line of Strasburg meets the main line of Amtrak. Our track will begin to curve sharply to the left as we come alongside the tracks that were once owned by the Pennsylvania Railroad's main line from New York to Chicago. Laban Place Junction has lots of history to be told. It was the original route of the Philadelphia and Columbia Railroad, which became a part of the mighty Pennsylvania Railroad in 1857. 4 mainline tracks remained until 1961. Today, more than a dozen trains still pass here daily, but none of them slow down in the slightest bit. Some of us passing at 110 miles an hour at their top speed. In the earliest days of railroading, this used to be a horse-changing station. Back when trains were pulled by horses, of course. Where the white building stands today used to stand Henry Lemon's Hotel. He supplied fresh horses for the train and refreshments for the passengers. Also, on February 22nd, 1861, a special train carrying Abraham Lincoln and Mrs. Lincoln stopped here briefly, and he addressed a crowd of several thousand people on his way to Washington, D.C. for his inauguration. A little more than 4 eventful years later, another special train would pass in the opposite direction. However, this one would be carrying the stained president's body on a sad journey back to Illinois. For Coatesville, Philadelphia, Trenton, Newark, New York City, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. That is, of course, we can run fast enough to catch that Amtrak train, that is, and the longer stops for us to slow down. Now, folks, you may find this a little difficult to believe, but this is paradise. Well, Paradise, Pennsylvania, that is. Don't worry, folks. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. is next. During the warm weather months, all regularly scheduled trains stop at the Picnic Grove upon request. We maintain the tables, the benches, and the barbecues. It's a beautiful spot, and all you have to do is provide the food. You can get off on any westbound train and return on any later train, missing none of the ride. Just don't miss the last train of the day, which will be at 3 o'clock today, as it will be a very long walk back to East Strasburg Station. Picnic passengers, please get ready. This is your stop. Please only disembark the train on the running right-hand side of our train at an open gate with uniformed dressed crew member. Please wait to disembark our train until it comes to a full and complete stop in the Picnic Grove. If you are deciding to disembark our train today, please be aware that you will be at the Grove for at least 1 hour. We hope you enjoy your time at the Picnic Grove, and we'd just like to remind you to please remain seated for us until the train comes to a stop. Once the train stops, move to the nearest trainman with a gate open for you. And please refrain from opening any gates yourself. We hope you enjoy your time, and just like to remind you that be sure to catch the last train back at 3 o'clock, because if you don't, it will be a very long walk back to East Strasburg Station. Boys and girls, as we approach East Strasburg Station, we would like everyone to please remain seated for us at all times until the train comes to a full and complete stop. Once the train comes to a stop, you'll hear me come back on the intercom and tell you when it is safe to disembark the train. We would like to thank you for riding the Strasburg today, and we ask you one simple question. Next time you travel, why not take the train? It's a lot more comfortable, a lot more safer, and it's most definitely a lot more fun than riding in a car. East Strasburg Station is next. End of the line. All change.
Captain JJ. Welcome.